Hey, Sayan, good afternoon. Thanks for accepting our invitation. Uh, Today we
Good
have,
afternoon, Prateek, and thanks for inviting me.
thank you, Sayan. We have one of the most recognized faces in the data industry, at least in India, Mr. Sayandeb Banerjee. He spent more than 2 decades. Very, very few people in this industry can actually claim to say that actually I've spent more than 20 years only in the data world. So, Sayan, I mean, amazing, experience there. And his experience cycle has been very, very simple. Started with General Electric, moved to Mu Sigma as one of the leadership positions there. Spent a lot of time with Mu Sigma. Probably helped Mu Sigma establish here globally as well. And then he founded one of the super hyper growth story of today's time in the data world, the Math Company, which is what he's heading right now. So Sayan, it's been a wonderful journey, I'm sure, for you. And I remember the first time when I met you, I think it was in 2009, when you were with Mu Sigma, and Mu Sigma was still growing aggressively, and you guided us quite a bit, so in Ivy's journey as well. And we were just probably a year and a half old by then, and you guided us with some great models of helping the companies build foundation skills which are required in the analytics world at that point of time. And I'm grateful to you for that, because on basis of some of the foundation that we built with you at that point of time, we actually built our own company. So Sayan, great having you here today.
Thank you, Prateek. My
So,
pleasure.
Sayan, I want to ask you, since you spent so much time in this industry, right? I mean, from G to Mu Sigma to the Math Company, what gave you an idea to actually start the Math Company? Because from an outside world, from as an outsider, if somebody looks into the data world, they will say that there are so many consulting companies. So, what gave you that unique idea to start it?
Yeah. So look, if you go back to the origin of the Math Company, as you rightly said, I had two great stints before this, right? General Electric, GE, mostly GE Capital, for about 8-9 years, and then Mu Sigma as one of the earliest, kind of founding team members, for good 10-11 years. When I, left and was looking at, what next, right? I mean, naturally, kind of everyone at certain milestones and at certain junctures, ask that question. There are two things I realized, right? First, this is the only thing, like you said, right? I spent more than 2 decades. That's true, but this is the only thing that I've done all through my life. Kind of from my academic or educational background from Indian Statistical Institute to kind of the things that I have done. I don't necessarily know too many things, right? Let's be honest about it. So
Super
so
focused life, actually.
yeah, absolutely. So it was focused, and sometimes I call it very lazy life also, right? I mean, you ensure that you do one thing and you want do one thing for a long period of time. That's why even with 22 years, there are probably just two or three kind of companies that we'll hear about nowadays. Many times I hear three companies in about 3-4 years, right? That people are kind of moving to. So I just anyway, so coming back to your point, so one was the fact that this is probably the only thing that I know, and more importantly, I felt that I know well, and my co-founders. I started this company with two others, Aditya and Anuj, and all of us have spent good amount of time in this space, right? So our thought process was very simple. We wanted to build a more, because we were starting in late 2016. You have to remember, right? It is not the, you said 2009 or not 2005 or 2000. It is 2016 getting into 2017. The world has evolved quite a bit. So looking into the present world, right, what a modern analytic solution company would look like, we had some thoughts around that, and thought, why just kind of give gyan kind of to different people. Why not go ahead and build something of that sort and create something? So that was one driving force, that having spent time in this industry, being very passionate about this space, right, wanted to create something which is kind of very meaningful, long lasting, and kind of an institution
Yeah.
that we really wanted to build. And as I keep saying, a modern day, and very time appropriate, not what was 10 years back or 15 years back.
Yeah.
Time appropriate, given the more matured customers, kind of a large, kind of interesting set of talent, kind of out there. How do I, kind of bring all of this together and create something very interesting and meaningful? So those are some of the primary things, I would say, Prateek, that were driving us
So it's
to create the
interesting you
platform.
it's interesting you say that modern day time appropriate some of the principles that were the foundation. What would you differentiate? So let's say
Sure,
what is the definition of modern day time appropriate
sure,
company?
sure. Lot of things, right? So first of all, leveraging the right. I'll start with something very tactical and something very basic, right?
Yeah.
Leveraging the right tool set, or kind of right technology and things that are being made available to us, over these last 10-15 years, using them appropriately to find the best solution for business problems, right? Not necessarily get stuck with what we have done probably for the last 10 years or last 5 years, but if there is more in the math world, if there's more in the tech world, if there is more in the business side and the application side, kind of how do you do that? But there are this is very tactical, but at a broader level, or a more strategic level, I think there are two or three things that are worth talking about. One is this whole emphasis on consumption of the work that we do, not just kind of create the best possible model.
Absolutely.
That's no longer kind of the thing that will kind of give you the right value or give you the right accolades, whatever it is. It is about real consumption and making analytics real. How do you enable consumption? And by that, and I can talk kind of for days around that it is not just about the algorithms, it is not just about the data science, it is about really combining the data components, the true data components, the data engineering components, the data science components, the product engineering components, so that you can take from raw data, source data, to real applications, and therefore enabling consumption, right? That was one big big focus area for us when we got started, right? How do you really keep your focus on consumption? And as you could understand, that means a lot of interesting things. It is not
Yeah.
enough to be the best in terms of your data science skills, which, if you look at my background, and that's probably where I come from. But I also realize that there is the need for seamlessly integrating it with the engineering components, which goes hand in hand with that, to create value for your end enterprises by ensuring consumption of those analytic solutions. I think that is one big area which we mean by time appropriate modern, that not just stop at building a great model, creating some fine insights, but really build an application, really build something that is kind of being used.
Interesting you say that data science coupled with data engineering, coupled with product engineering, so that you can actually end up creating a consumption-based product for the end users or for the end
That's
client,
true.
which adds a lot of value. And so you're saying that math company is trying to focus on all the three areas so that they can,
Absolutely.
yeah, okay.
Absolutely. That's why we call ourselves there is a term that we internally use quite a bit, like being full stack, right? I mean, I know there is this word called full stack developers in the tech world being quite a bit, but it's the same here as well,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Just that you know the math well, you can build the best possible kind of neural network models, is not good enough. Is not good enough, right? You have to be able to create the right kind of the right pipelines, where the data flows from, how will it kind of feed into your future models, or the things that you run, and then how do you productize the outcome. The outcome cannot be just a piece of nice algorithm. It cannot be a few pretty looking slides, right? It cannot be just the dashboard. I mean, these are all very important, don't get me wrong, but is it good enough, or will it enable somebody to make those decisions that they need to make, right? At the end of the day, somebody needs to make a decision whether to kind of give a loan, whether to change the promotion structure, whether to kind of make some alterations in the supply chain, whatever the problem and the decisions that they need to make. Am I enabling that decision is a big one, right? And for that, you have to build like a product that will maybe it's an enterprise level software that will kind of sit in everybody's desktop and laptop, and people will have to start using it, or it will be an API that will kind of be passed into an operating system of the company. So it has to go to that level. It cannot stop, kind of few miles before that.
Interesting thing that you mentioned there. So I remember in our early 2008s or 9s and 10s of the time, the focus used to be on predictive analytics, on building statistical model, generating insights. And mid of 2010s, we started doing some dashboarding as well. But now you're saying that it's the complete portfolio, which end up creating a portal like an app or a product.
App is the right word. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to literally build an application, right? Which will kind of keep the data, needs to keep feeding into it, and the algorithms needs to run, the outcome needs to be showcased or demonstrated in a particular manner, and then some scenarios has to be created, whatever. I mean, an app has to be created.
Sure.
That's the right term.
So in terms of your team size, Sayan, you guys are approximately at what number right now?
We are about 450
400. Yeah. Last time I met, you said 350. So which is a good thing. I mean, we are meeting up probably a year's time. So now it's 400.
We are about 450 now, 50 plus. I mean,
yeah,
we ended the year.
Yeah. Great then. So I want to ask you, in this data science, data engineering, and product engineering space, so if you were to distribute the team size in terms of skill, so what percentage would go anywhere? I mean, would you have some understanding?
Yeah, I definitely would. See, look, while this is the gamut that you have to run, right? There are two aspects to it, Prateek. One is having specialists, right?
Yeah.
Having specialists in each of these. If you look at the data engineering, data science, and product engineering as the three columns or the three pillars, right, on which the solutions stand, you have to have experts in each of them. And by nature of it, you probably have a slightly fatter pillar on the data science algorithm component, because it's also a lot about the business understanding, understanding the behavioral component. So there are a few more things, and the data engineering. But what we are essentially trying to build, and that is where our ambition is that if a bulk of our analysts are actually can transcend across these verticals, that's where the real win is, right? That's why I keep using the term full stack. It's ambitious. It's not. You will know that very well, right? Because you kind of keep training a lot of people on each of these components, and we're not expecting that somebody will come with a full stack ability.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes with kind of almost, if somebody comes with nothing also, right?
Yeah.
There should be an ability. We should have an ability to kind of inculcate those learnings and knowledge and training in each of those pillars, right? So that over a period of time, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it takes, somebody starts becoming more end to end and can really take a project from the source data, raw data, the problem statement, and take it up to the product, right? So if you ask me to envision, see, today there is some distribution, but if you ask me to envision, I would say that almost 50-60% of the kind of the people would be of that nature, if you have to have a, and then the remaining 30% can or 30-40%, whatever, be equally distributed between those pillars, and those are more the experts, right, who go very deep into that, right, who constantly look at how to improve the level of expertise in each of them, because these spaces are also changing rapidly.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, data science, that when you and I first spoke in 2009, we are talking about how to teach SAS to people, probably, right? Or kind of should we do SPSS, and R was some language that
no, we not even do R.
I know, but I'm saying kind of probably some of the universities, some academic colleges were using it too. Today, where even nobody talks about R, unless you're doing Python, unless you're doing Spark and something, it probably so these worlds, and it's the same holds in the engineering world as well, right? So these worlds are also changing. So there has to be your depth guys, right, or the experts who will not only help build those solutions, building the higher level of expertise, but also move that field ahead.
Absolutely right. So basically, then you're saying that you need 50 to 60 generalist kind of folks who have very good understanding of data science, because these guys end up working with the client, end up solving business problems, understanding business problems as well. But they should have understanding of data engineering as well as product engineering to an extent, so that they can actually work on that end-to-end project. And then you have the rest of the people are more pillar specific domain experts, right? So that's how the team composition that you have.
Yeah, and then I'm not getting into, obviously you need some industry expertise also to be layered on top of that, and then some functional expertise, right? I mean, you need people, and those are far and few, right? If you are talking of a large workforce, right, you don't have 5% people who are marketing experts. No, you have countable few, right? These 3 or 4 people who are really your, the supply chain guys. These are your marketing guys. This is probably a retail guy, or there is, those layers are also there.
Absolutely, but functional guys,
correct. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what I'm calling as generalist is really the almost the building block of what we are doing. And yes, they can start with the the major knowledge or understanding of and I call that the middle portion, right? The nice patty, kind of in a burger, kind of that you have.
The middle layer, like how IBM used to say, right? I mean, middle layer supports all the applications. Without it, you do not. So I think that's the skill middle layer that you're talking.
So you need to have the front end and the back end. And if you can't, see, the problem is that if you have complete, you're opaque, you don't have any understanding of what's in the back end, what's in the front end, then the whole system breaks down, right? I mean, if you just have blind handovers from one side to the other, then the whole system breaks down. Right. So the knowledge of these will allow somebody to, and they can have strength on certain areas. There's nothing wrong in that. But unless they can, at least translate, saying that, okay, I broadly and I know quite well what this is. I can do a little bit of that. And maybe with the help of an expert or somebody who is good in some of these engineering components, work together as a team. And that's why a team is important, right? Most of the time, a good project that we work on is not a, kind of a solo project. I mean, there's sometimes a wrong notion that, the one individual working on one project. Problem is that, that one individual working on one project can bring one of those, kind of pillars alive quite a bit. And that's why a team is important. A team composition is important.
So good that you brought that point. I wanted to also ask you, Sayan, what we keep hearing, because, we work with so many young data science aspirants, we've been doing for the last more than a decade now. So what we keep hearing is that what skills should I have to, let's say, get into, let's say, for example, math company, right? What are the things that as a young, fresh college grad, and then I'm going to ask the same question that, let's say there is the computer science engineer who's switching from an IT position, or let's say there is a financial risk analyst or financial analyst switching from a BFSI domain, or an economist switching from economics domain. So, but, as a fresh grad, right, out of the college, right, what are the key skills that you look at when hiring, or math company looks at when hiring?
Sure. So I'll talk about the math company, and I know in many ways that may not be generic or cannot be generalized, and I'll tell you why. See, we boast of our ability to train young minds, right, and make them great professionals, right? We have built an internal engine from day one. We call it the coach. Which is our in-house, program to build this. Now, why I'm mentioning that is, for a fresh grad, we are agnostic to the specific background they come from.
Okay.
Right? Somebody can be a mechanical engineer, somebody can be a chemical engineer, somebody can be an economics grad, somebody can have a math or a stat, kind of a degree, and variety of things. Nowadays, there are a lot of interesting things that are emerging, and people can read that. In fact, nowadays, even during the master's program or even, kind of some of the engineering program, people are doing data science also, right? As an elective, as a program, a lot of things are happening. But to be honest, right, we are not necessarily looking for the hard skill part of it. If somebody knows Python, great. I mean, they will probably have a, faster start, or they can, probably ramp up a little faster. But I believe that if I look at the more fundamentals, and fundamentals being ability to learn, right? It sounds, kind of very cliche. It might sound, kind of very, philosophical, but that's true. I mean, how, if I look for a hard skill today, 2 years down the line, and 2 years is also a good span, right? That will no longer be relevant. There has to be a different hard skill that somebody has to, learn and be adept at. So the ability to learn, right?
How do you judge that?
How do I judge that? Curiosity.
Okay.
Curiosity. There is different ways of understanding, and there are a lot of ways. One is, kind of you talk to people and understand, kind of their level of curiosity. Number one. Number two, I'm giving you some of the secrets, right? That at least I look for, right, when I interview people.
Yeah.
I absolutely want to see somebody passionate in their life, right, about something. It need not be anything to do with their courses.
Okay.
Somebody is passionate about photography,
Okay.
right? Somebody is passionate about, but it has to be a true passion, not that, not ticking the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing movies. No, not. He can be passionate about movies, and I would love to have a good 10-15 minutes conversation with that person about movies, and see kind of what depth that person can go to, because that to me says that, look, if I can generate enough interest in this person have the ability to kind of go to depth of certain things, and can show passion about certain things. And I might fail, he or she may never get passionate about analytics, data science, data engineering, any of these components. That's a different point altogether, but it's a necessary condition. It may not be sufficient, but I believe it's a necessary condition, right? So that whole thing about learning ability, which is based on curiosity, being passionate about certain things, ability to be a little more broad focused,
Okay.
in a sense that while I have, and because that happens in our world also, right? While I am
Flexibility, are you saying?
more than flexibility, somebody is probably have done say a 9-pointer, a 9 GPA,
Okay.
kind of fantastic academic record. But if I talk to them about something very simple, right? I mean, if I talk to them about COVID vaccine, let's take a kind of a very,
right.
I'm not saying that somebody has to know the general
awareness, the global
awareness, and kind of a little bit of interest on certain other things, certain which are broader activities, kind of broader events. Some awareness, some things has to be there again, right? And otherwise, if we get too single tracked, right, even in our professional life, in our work, I don't think the outcome will be the best, right? If I just get focused on building the best possible algorithm, which I have to, by the way. I mean, I'm not saying that is not important, but if that is my only focus, then I will never be able to create the best possible solution. I have to understand what's going on with this client, what's happening in the automobile world, right? Suppose I'm working for a large automobile manufacturer, what's happening in the automobile world. I have to somewhere absorb a lot of these things, because they will play a very important role, right, in what I do.
Makes sense. Great. Very good tips there. I also wanted to ask you, do you see that there is a saturation in the industry? Because we keep hearing that there are so many people who have been trained in data world. So I mean, is there an opportunity? Would there still be an opportunity after 2-3 years? What do you comment on it, Sayan?
So I don't wish, but I at least hope that there is enough supply, that I am not losing sleep over how am I going to meet my kind of demand for the next month, right? You ask my head of talent acquisition, and that person will jump kind of from wherever kind of that person is. See, I don't have an exact number, but one thing you can easily track is number of just startups in this case that are starting every year. How many have started even in this COVID year of 2020? You will be amazed. I unfortunately don't have the latest number, right? Even if you look at the NASSCOM data, that will tell you about India. That number itself is mind-boggling. Then there is the whole world, right? In today's world, right, nothing is stuck to geography. So there could be a startup that starts in Vietnam, something that starts in Israel, something that starts in Hungary, something that starts in the US, and you can be part of that in many different ways. You can be part of that by being in that geography, or by being anywhere in the world, right? The world that way is, because of what technology has allowed us to do, has become flatter. So the fact that so many new initiatives are starting, and then I'm not even talking about just tracking the growth of the existing organizations. If you look at large companies like an IBM and an Accenture, and even a TCS and HCL, and if you look at, or even the Genpact, WNS, EXLs of the world, if you just look at the kind of growth that their data business, right, overall this whole let's call it the data business, is seeing, that will tell you that the startups, the people are starting, they are not fools. They are
Yeah,
definitely seeing that much of opportunity there, and then they're trying to grab that. And to do that, they will need kind of talent to make that happen.
yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
but it's true that the need for the talent or the type of talent obviously will keep evolving over a period of time. Like we said, right? I mean, in 2009, when we're looking for talent, at least from a hard skills perspective, the kind of things that we're looking at, Pratik, today we will not look at the same things, right? We look at something else. And then there are so many specializations now, right? As
Yeah.
this whole AI world, kind of everything gets mingled.
Mm,
The things around vision, things around kind of sound, mission
mm.
signals. How do you kind of interpret some of those? How do process some of those? It is evolving, but not at all. I think for the next, I don't want to take a prediction, but at least for the next 10 years, I only
Yeah.
see this growing.
And I mean, the way I see,
Just at the very tip of the iceberg is probably the cliche to be used here, but
yeah,
going.
yeah, because the way I also see is that, I mean, for example, I run a couple of restaurants as well, and we've been using ERP for since for the last 10 years, right? So we have huge amount of data there, right? So I mean, we were just the other day we were just doing an analysis that affinity, right? I mean, what do people like to order with what else, right? As simple as that, right? I mean, and I was surprised that I mean. My servers, they knew that at the back of the mind, but when a new server would come, he would have to spend a year to learn that. So we thought, why not use this own data? We were not using that own data, right? So we started using it last year or so. So I mean, I also see that a lot of these MSMEs, the small businesses which have been using computer softwares, they have huge amount of data actually stored, local data, right? And these softwares which have come, which are very handy, which are very easy, and there are resources available as well, which are
Yes.
cheaper as well. So I mean, this MSME businesses, right? I mean, I think they also are going to be a big driver for using and consuming a lot of these data science skills.
Pratik, not just that, even if you look at large enterprises,
Yeah.
there are different segments which have hardly used anything on data analytics today, right? I mean, if you look at the whole manufacturing side of the
Yeah.
world, right? I mean, there are a lot of interesting work that is happening there now. If you look, kind of energy, oil and gas, I'm not saying that work has not happened, but like if you just look at retail, CPG, banking, these are the places where traditionally a lot of database decision making or analytics has happened, and even there is no point in saturation because the space is changing. The kind of data that is available is changing. You are talking about the ERP data that tells you about the affinity of what
Right.
is that itself is, for some of these large enterprises, maybe they have solved or have tackled that problem, but what they're tackling now, they are going and checking out what people are talking about in social media in terms of what they
Absolutely.
like to eat in that restaurant.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that data is now getting analyzed, right? I mean, tomorrow they will even kind of record the chatter that are happening in the restaurant floor, and maybe
Absolutely.
analyze that data. So I'm saying the newer source of information, though the question is still the same, what you said, affinity, what they ordered together, that is exactly the same for the
Yeah.
last, I
Yeah.
don't know, from the time restaurant business started, right? People always wanted to know that answer,
Yeah.
but the way they can arrive at that answer, I think that is evolving rapidly.
Mhm.
That is evolving fast, and maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line, there will be, as people walk in, there will be track, there will be chips, lot of those, what
And
looks
that is
like
going to
sci-fi
happen.
are actually happening. I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
not saying it in a very light note. I mean, that will happen, and that data will be the source for you to analyze.
Absolutely. One last couple of questions only for you, Sayan. I know we have crossed the time limit.
Sure,
Uh,
sure.
Suppose if you were to, if I can make you project yourself as a ISI grad who's going to be graduating in 2021, right? What would you tell your young self? What should you learn to get into this booming, the sexiest and skilled job in 2021? What would you tell your young self?
Yeah, so what I will tell myself again, with I'll obviously have the hindsight of this. See, if I don't have any of this knowledge,
Right.
or no, I don't say even knowledge, just the learnings and the experiences that I've gathered over the last 21, 22 years.
Yeah.
If I don't have that, then I will look for a Shayan or a Pratik who can guide me at that stage. But if I can use this understanding and knowledge, I would say what I just said before, that in order to be in that space, obviously I need to understand some of the fundamentals of that space, and whether I learned that in my academic courses, or I gathered that knowledge from other
That's where.
sources or places. I need to know some of the fundamentals, kind of some technology part and some math part is almost essential, right?
Yeah.
But what is more important is understanding, a little bit more of business. See, at the end of the day, what is this whole data science, data engineering? What is this about? Actually, to the youngsters, I say this. See, at the end of the day, you are problem solving. You are solving a specific problem. If you take your eyes off the problem, right, then you will be hooked by the bouncer. The bouncer will come and hook you. You will kind of try and perfect your stance, but you have taken your eyes off the ball, right,
Right.
from a cricketing language perspective. So understanding the problem and spending more time and energy in understanding the problem, and therefore what solution I'm providing to that problem, I think is something that I will tell myself, that kind of get your mind to that. And the reason why I'm saying this, while you need to have understanding of some of the hard skills, believe me, many of these are also getting commoditized, right?
Absolutely right.
Kind of when I started, right, the amount of knowledge that was required for me to create a predictive model,
Mm-hmm.
say using something simple like a regression model. So the amount of knowledge that is required to build that, you don't need it today, because those things have been commoditized. Those things are readily available for us to kind of use in so many different manners. So therefore my focus has to be on the problem. Their focus has to be on what solution I'm providing to the problem, what data elements can help me kind of solve this problem better, right? There are lot of these questions that I will rather focus on than
Makes sense.
kind of the algorithm, the tech, and all the other stuff.
So 2021 is no different than 2029 then. I remember you telling me exactly the same thing, that Prateek, I want people who can solve problem. And I also remember you telling me that, Prateek, do not focus just on the tech colleges. There is a great college, I think you're also from that college. And he said, go to Xavier's, get those BCom guys. And, those guys like to solve business problems and would be more than happy to have a look at them. So I think the message that you're trying to tell for 2021 from a skill perspective is that still, please, if you want to get into data world, remember data science is still about solving problem. So take any case, any problem, spend a lot of time, build that foundation that is required to build to solve problems. So that's, I think, is a very important message that you're giving. Also, just to summarize some of the messages that you said, be curious, you said, right? Because that shows your ability to learn. Be passionate about something, that whatever you do, at least show passion, real passion for whatever you're doing. And be aware of what is going on around your world, and see how your skills could be useful there around the world, right? So I think these are some of the important messages that you're giving, even from even for 2021. You're not seeing anything different than we.
Fundamentals never change, right? As I said, the business fundamentals never change. Business fundamentals are about how do I get more revenue, how do I get more customers, how do I minimize my cost, right? So those fundamentals, I think, from the time business started is still the same. Similarly, the fundamentals are still the same. Yeah, as I said, maybe there is far more focus on cloud and cloud technologies and kind of NLP and NLG, but these will keep evolving. If you talk 10 years down the line, I don't think the fundamentals will change, but the underlying hard skills will definitely change, and I'm sure we'll talk about things that are nowhere in existence today.
Right. One last question for you, Science, since you were your co-founder for Math Company and is growing so well. A lot of our people would want to understand that what kind of culture, from a culture perspective. A lot of companies come and tell us, this is the hard skills. The focus is a lot on the hard skill. But I know you have built culture in Mu Sigma. At least I was exposed to that. I know you're building a strong culture in Math Company as well. So what are some of the cultural perspective that you would like to talk about that Math Company has, which others probably do not?
Well, whether others have or haven't
Yeah.
do or do not, kind of, I can't comment on that,
Right.
and that varies from organization to organization. I think there are quite a few, and we have 6 or 7 very important cultural tenets, but I won't necessarily go into that. I would broadly give you a sense of that. So I already spoke about a culture of continuous learning, right?
Okay.
I think that is very, very important. I think anybody in the Math Company if they stop learning or applying themselves to the new context, right, I don't think they will excel, right? That is one. In general, for the company, another culture of being open. I mean, I know many people say and claim, but it's about how you practice, kind of an openness, open culture, kind of people, anyone can talk to anybody, kind of get ideas. Because what an open culture does is that it helps bring ideas together. Good ideas needs to come together, collide with each other, and create some magic, something fascinating, right? So, and that won't happen if everybody is guarding their own territories, right? If I guard my own territory and you guard your own territory, each of us will produce something, but only when we collaborate and we talk. So this whole thing about openness, whole thing about more collaboration, right? Again, these are more easily said than done, right? In practice, how do you do this? What kind of cadences that you create, what kind of simple things that you create in the organization? I think that is very, very important. And then kind of the whole thing about as I said, little bit more curious and little bit more, I would say, adventurous or ambitious, to say that, look, why won't I be able to kind of solve this problem? Why can't I do that? Having that audacity a little bit is deeply appreciated. Yeah, that definitely creates kind of sometimes challenges on the other side, where you can't be expecting somebody to be really be a little more forceful on those side and not forceful on the others. But the fact that look, this is a problem, and it needs to be solved. I'm sure it can be solved, and not get bogged down by the fact, oh my god, somebody like this company which has existed for 100 years till date have not been able to solve this problem. How can I solve this problem, who has just been in data science for 1 year or 2 years? No, it really doesn't matter, because you are taking a fresh look at the problem. And you, and particularly the way, again, as I keep saying, the way the underlying space has evolved, the technology has evolved, the ability to solve problems has evolved. Somebody who has been trying this for the last 10-15 years are also new to some of those the tools and the techniques that you are leveraging to do that. So having that audacity a little bit kind of is, and I can keep going. I mean, if you ask me to talk about the math company and the culture, there are many aspects of it, but those are the things that quickly comes to my mind.
Sure, great. So Sayan, great talking to you. You have given us a lot of insights, and I really liked the way you spoke about right from the genesis of your data science career, and then going to math company and talking about what is relevant in today's time. Sayan, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Prateek.